Hello, welcome to Aruba Atmosphere 2017. My name is Tom Hollingsworth, and I am a part of Tech Field Day. We are here with a group of invited delegates to take part in a roundtable discussion all about mobility and wireless and some of the exciting things that we've heard here while we're at the conference. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please make sure you check out our website at techfieldday.com. You can also see our YouTube channel at youtube.com/techfieldday. I'd like to take a moment for the panelists and delegates to introduce themselves to the audience at home. Keith, why don't you go ahead and start?
Keith Parsons with Wireless Sound Professionals. I do Wi-Fi. You can find me on Twitter at Keith R. Parsons. My website's wlandpros.com.
Shaun Neal with Brickworks, and you can find me on Twitter at SV_Neal, or my blog, blog.svneal.com.
Sam Clements, social media blogger at sc-wifi.com, where you can find me on Twitter at Samuel_Clements.
Blake Krone, you can find me with no dashes, underscores, or anything crazy like that, because I like to make it easy. BlakeKrone.com and at Blake Krone on Twitter.
Eddie Forero, Communica One. I have a blog at badfi.com, and I'm on Twitter at Hey Eddie.
I'm Joshua Williams, a Wi-Fi practitioner in the middle of the country. You can find me online at 802.me or at 802.me.
I'm Ryan Adzima, at Adzima on Twitter, wireless engineer and blogger.
I'm Drew Lentz with Frontier Consulting. You can find me on Twitter at wireless nerd or at wirelessnerd.net.
Shaun, I believe we talked about another topic before the break. I'm trying to remember what it was.
On the security?
Oh, yeah. About the NIARA stuff, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess some of it goes back to some of the machine learning components, right? And I think there's a few things there where we wanted to kind of, address as well, right? So I think we have a big opportunity to really, when we're designing these networks, to really secure them better than we have been, right? I think there's been a sort of, you log on, you get a certain policy, and you kind of sit there until you log off the network. I think now it's a much more sort of sliding scale through both, just kind of machine learning and dynamically understanding what's going on with a certain device at a certain time. It's something that is an opportunity for us to take advantage of.
So you're trying to say that securing networks is actually really hard, and we've been chasing that security rabbit for so long that we kind of get inured to it after a while, and here comes something that makes our job so much easier, and we're like, we can finally secure all the things. I guess, how does that work? Blake, you shot your hand right into the air.
I disagree. I think securing networks is simple. It's never been tough to secure wireless networks because we actually do have at least the sense of 802.1x. Deploying it, on the other hand, because of your lack of PKI infrastructure or back-end services is certainly tough, but we at least do have secured networks. What you're talking more about is securing traffic flows from a layer 8 level, which is completely different. And that's kind of the rub that I'm getting here, is that we have all these tools, which, yes, are really cool to do these profiling, privacy aside, and looking at and collecting these data and fingerprinting and trying to figure out, okay, what are you doing? Should you be doing that or not be doing that? But it's not securing the network. You've already secured the network. Now you're trying to secure the data and enforce firewall restrictions without having a firewall admin.
Contextual security.
Yeah, contextual security.
If I could jump in there, you say we're using 802.1x, right? A lot of these IoT devices can't support 802.1x.
Well, then you got to force them to use it because you have the buying power. You choose not to buy.
They're starting to come out.
Sure.
But
Glad somebody got that.
But even there, I'll go one step further. Why secure the networks? Secure the damn applications.
That too.
I mean, if you look at it, we used to be the M&M, hard and crunchy on the outside and warm and gooey on the inside. If it wasn't warm and gooey on the inside, we wouldn't need the shell.
Right. Exactly.
We attacked the first easy one because we can put this big shell up, but then once you're inside, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Apps can do whatever they want. How do we can lose the shell if we can fix the other.
Zero trust networks.
Well,
why not?
when you put everything in AWS, what are you securing anymore? You're securing your data center, which is just a pipe to AWS.
Well, we found that out last week, actually. There was a major issue with a content provider that leaked some data. And everybody flipped out. They're like, oh, go change your passwords and go do this. And I'm a user of 1Password as my password vault. And 1Password sent out an email to their customers and said, nope, you're good. Like, well, how did you manage to avoid this? Like, oh, because we don't trust the provider. We went ahead and encrypted everything anyway. And it's like, yeah, these guys get it. But I mean, honestly, app developers do what they do because they say, oh, well, the people in the network take care of that for me.
Imagine a life without encryption overhead. Imagine, efficiencies, ease of getting on the network, everything, if you could have just applications that were secure.
Connect to everything through SSL.
And we're seeing that.
Connect to everything through SSL. Now, you don't need stupid captive portals because they won't work anyway.
Just drop that one right in there.
Yeah, I need another mic.
Bias.
Another one. Connect through SSL. Connect to apps that use tokenized identities, OAuth, backends. Identity stores that are segregated and segmented away, and use the SSO with the tokens, so that I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
No, I know where you're going. Encrypt in transit, encrypt at rest, encrypt everywhere, and you don't need transport encryption from the wireless perspective more, because again, wireless security is easy.
Right.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that the onus to secure things should be on the people writing the software and less on the transport people. It's like you want us to make networks simple and usable?
Wouldn't it be a perfect world? Yeah.
Networks, wired and wireless, have been picking up the slack for infrastructure.
Yeah, but it's always
Way
easy to
too long.
point your finger at the other guys.
Well, it is easy because they have been.
Because we're developers too.
How many times?
I get that,
I
but
know this is wireless,
I get that, but
how
you
many
get
times do we have to develop layer 2 bridges across data centers because applications can't talk across layer 3 boundaries?
If I had an application that was horribly written and horribly secured versus an application that was just really well written and unsecured, I would rather have a really well written application that was unsecured.
Well, why
as
don't you
opposed
fire
to-
them both and hire someone who can do both?
But see, okay.
Because there's
but
always
you
the
guys-
cheapest bidder,
So,
right?
So
Is
the conversation right now is about getting secure apps, but that is why you brought up Nyara, because that is the issue. That is
don't
the
have it
problem.
today.
We don't have it today.
Yeah.
So so a product like that is an answer to that. How can we
It's-
start securing the network?
I think
Take the
it's-
onus off the IT people.
I think it's a
figure
band-aid.
it out.
I think it's a fantastic
I'm not
solution
saying it's
for
not,
what it's meant to do.
But I think we're supposed to be talking
but it's a
about that.
band-aid.
I think it's an MRI. I think what it does is it gives us a lot of visibility that we didn't have before
Yes.
into what was going on through those analytics. And then it's up to us to take that and do what we can with it. I mean, I want to acknowledge there's a lot of pained and curious looks in the audience about this discussion right now, because this challenges a lot of the fundamental ways that we think about network security and app security and client security and that sort of thing. But it's a great discussion, and that we don't get to have a lot. And I think I'm really intrigued by this concept of, what can we do to maybe transfer the onus of security a little bit, not unfairly, but maybe right-size it a little bit to improve performance on the network. And, we see it to some degree among the people sitting up here at this panel. I mean, how many of you go use public Wi-Fi networks without a VPN on your computer? I mean, you own the security because you know better, right?
I keep thinking about trains, right? We're talking about securing train tracks, but leaving the doors to the boxcars wide open. It's interesting the way, as you guys are talking, that's all I'm thinking about is we're talking about how do we look inside the boxcars? How do we find out when inside the boxcars are being broken into? How do we find out who's stealing what from the boxcars? You guys are saying lock the boxcars and don't worry about the track.
It's true.
It's interesting.
All the statement that I wanted to make on it was just that the problem I have, because I agree, Josh, these are great tools. They're that MRI, they're that way to look into it, but you know what's going to happen. Marketing's going to get a hold of it, and it's now going to become, this is how you secure your wireless network. And it's not securing your wireless network. It is your network is already secured. You're securing the data and going and looking at it. So
I hadn't thought about it as a way to view that and possibly leverage that to fire the bad developers.
But that is true. I mean,
Thank you, Blake.
that is true. One example that was given to us is I think this was before they were even acquired by Aruba. Was Naira had talked to us about how they found that Dropbox was doing an inordinate amount of uploads, and it turned out they had found that Dropbox had a bug that was doing this. It wasn't actually transferring data as far as the client. It was just doing this. It was doing some kind of synchronization, but not of the actual user data. Just this bug that was going on that was generating up to 10 to 20 gigs a day per client. And so I think you're right. I think that is a way to capture that data and say this is a bad application, and then you can make a decision. Do we want to use this and find an application that's better, or if you're a big enough organization, go to that developer and say fix your product.
We're not developers. If we're able to come up with solutions, no. If we're able to come up with solutions and no fixes to this, and the developers are clueless about it, they're not developers either. They're cobbling something together.
I want to get Shaun and Keith in here real quick. And then we're going to let Shaun Ranierson ask a question.
So, the point taken on some of the application stuff, I think, Eddie called out a good example of where this thing's valuable. The other piece that I saw was, down in the innovation playground area, right? You can see the demo, and there's always the human factor, right? We're getting people connected to the network, people that may or may not do things that they shouldn't be doing on the network, and being able to compare, two people in the same role, compare their traffic profiles, and understand what they're doing, and then find that anomalous behavior. Like, hey, why is that guy downloading all the trade secrets from the file server over there, right? Yeah. That he has, access to it, whether or not he should, maybe a different story. But being able to highlight that is valuable, right? And I think that you can find the cracks in sort of the policies that we allow, and I think that's something that to do that manually is almost impossible at scale.